Hi guys. A little while ago, Backwoods Uncle Bub, a guy from YouTube, a fellow bushcrafter that I respect and admire, he asked me to do a video on the 5 things, or 5 groups of things, that I would take with me in a survival situation, or basically a stuff hit the fan situation. So I'm just going to show you all what I take. Then I'm going to tag 5 more people and ask them to do the same. So if you know me, you can be expecting an email pretty quick. Okay, well, I got some things in my pack here. Okay, let's start off with the most important thing. Situation like that, you got to remember your rules of 3. You got roughly 3 hours to go without shelter. You can live for maybe 3 hours without shelter. You can live for maybe 3 days without water. And you can live for possibly 3 weeks without food. I don't want to go for 3 weeks without food, and I don't want to go for 3 days without water. So here's what I do about it. Okay, first thing, shelter. First line of defense in your shelter, of course, is your clothes. If you're properly dressed when you head out, that's step number 1. If you've got good boots, good insulated clothing, dress in layers, that's half the battle right there. But you're going to need a little more than that, because we got to stay dry and we got to stay out of the wind. So with that in mind, here's a couple of things. First thing, tarp. Doesn't have to be a good one, okay? A good one is better, but one that'll work, that's good enough, okay? With a tarp, we can make ourselves a shelter, get out of the rain, we can stay out of the wind, and we can even put some under it so that we have something dry to sleep on. I'll do another video down the road to show you how I set my tarp up, okay? A lot of people do it differently. I'll show you how I do it. But that's the first thing, is our tarp, okay? I'm going to put that over here, okay? Now, second thing, you got to sleep, and you got to stay warm when you sleep, because you have to rest. If you don't rest, you're going to break down, you're going to get tired. Hypothermia is right around the corner, okay? The sleeping bag is great, okay? A wool blanket, just as good. In my opinion, it's better, okay? Why is it better? Because wool will keep me warm even if it does get wet. If my sleeping bag gets saturated, most of its insulation value, if not all of it, is gone. Okay, now you might be thinking, well, Dave, what if your bag was waterproof with a bivy? Okay, that would help, but what if it wasn't? And what if water got inside? Okay, what if I'm soaking wet when I climb in? Okay, I don't have a towel. All right, these are things you have to consider. In my opinion, a wool blanket is the most versatile. So we'll put that with our tarp. Okay, so that's our first thing in our line, is shelter. So if I'm allowed to have groups of things, that's what I want from my shelter, those 2 things, okay? If I'm only allowed to have one thing, then I want the tarp. I can do without the blanket if I have a fire. Okay, next thing, cordage. You know, before we had nails, the whole world was held together by cordage. Primitive man used cordage made out of wood fiber, woven grasses, vines. He made it out of animal sinew, he made it out of strips of hide, he made it out of whatever he could and whatever he had on hand, because before the nail, cordage is what held everything together. And out here, I don't have any nails. I have an axe, but I have no nails. So cordage. With this, we can do a lot of things. We can build ourselves a shelter, okay? We can make ourselves snares to feed ourselves. I'll talk about that in a minute, but that's something else. We can fish. We can weave things like traps. We can make things to carry things. Cordage, you got to have it, okay? This is 100 feet of good paracord. If I knew I was going into a survival situation, for sure, I'd take 200 feet. You can't have too much of this stuff, and it goes faster than you think, okay? You'll notice that on my pack, I take lengths of this stuff, and I cut it into 10 foot, 12 foot, 20 foot, and I put it on different places on my pack so that if I need a piece, I can take a piece that I know is about the right length for the job I have, and I don't have to cut my long strand, but you cut it when you need to. Okay, so that's something else. We have our cordage. Alright, so that's kind of part of our shelter stuff. Alright, now, what about, we got shelter now, we need water, okay? How do we purify our water? I'm here in Pennsylvania. As you can see, there's snow on the ground and everything. There are some springs in Pennsylvania that sure I'll drink right out of. There's even some streams that I'll drink out of. I'm willing to take the risk. There is a little bit of risk involved in that. But if we don't want to take the risk, if you're out here in a survival situation, you cannot afford to get dysentery. You cannot afford to become ill. So how do we purify our water if we don't have water purification tablets? Best way is to boil it, right? So we'll need something to boil water in. So my next thing is my little mess kit here. Okay, you need something to boil water in, and this is as easy as it gets. Make your fire, put 2 V-sticks in the ground, 1 green stick across. You can hang your pot from there and boil your water. You can set it right in the coals. We can cook with this, and we can even eat out of it. This is a great little piece of kit. If you don't have one, I mean, I've got like 3 or 4 different kinds of mess kits, and I usually take at least 2 of them when I go out. But if I can only have one, this is it. It's the most versatile, most useful. Okay, that's the next thing. What else we got? Oh, if I can have groups of things, then I need a canteen, because I want a canteen to carry my water. Okay, I might not be going to camp right next to a spring or right next to a stream. If it's summertime and the bugs are really bad, if the mosquitoes are really bad, I don't want to be next to the water. I'm going to get away from it a little bit. So it's nice to have a way to carry water. You can get by without this, but it's nice. Now, you notice this is a plastic canteen. What do you do like on a night like tonight? I imagine it's going to get down into the teens again. It's going to be really cold. Okay, how do I keep this from freezing? I put it right inside my blanket with me. Okay, it's plastic. I can't put it right next to the fire too close, but I can wrap it right up in the blanket with me. If the water's already warm, you can warm this a little bit by the fire without melting it. It won't bring my body temperature down too much, and that's how you keep it from freezing at night. If you have a sleeping bag, I put my canteens right down the bottom of the bag with me. Keeps your water from freezing, a lot less trouble. I'll put that with the blanket. This is I'd like to have, don't have to have it, like to have it. Okay, now we got ourselves water. Okay, in a way to cook. We have shelter. Okay, what's the next thing we need? Well, we want to eat. I didn't get to be 220 pounds without liking to eat. I like to eat often, and I like to eat a lot. In a survival situation, probably not going to get it, but I'm sure as heck going to try. So with that in mind, what we're going to do, I got my little hobo fishing kit here. I made this out of PVC pipe. As you can see, I've got some 6-pound test line here wrapped around it. On the inside, just kind of pop the cap, and on the inside, you probably can't see this, but we have fish hooks, sinkers, bobbers, everything I need, different kinds of bobbers, some different size hooks, everything I need to catch panfish, maybe a trout. In a survival situation, we'll even eat crayfish. They're actually pretty tasty. Without hot sauce, maybe not so much, but you can eat them. That's one thing we're going to need. I can fish with that. That's one thing you can do. And the good thing about fishing is you can spend a lot of time fishing without burning a lot of calories. First thing you got to do is find bait. And that's something else we can talk about, but you can find bait next to any stream if you look. Look under the rocks, look in the loose dirt, look under the leaves and stuff, and you can find grubs, you can find worms, you can find insects. All these things will catch fish. Okay, so we got that. Now, this is something else that I carry and would carry in a survival situation if I had it. This is something you're not going to see too many guys use. It's not very popular, okay? Some people consider these things cruel. And I'll tell you what it is. This is a number 110 Conibear. It is a steel trap. It doesn't weigh very much. It maybe weighs 3 ounces. Okay? They're very inexpensive. They cost about $5 a piece. Now I know that with my paracord I can make snares, I can make deadfalls, I can make figure fours. All these things take time, effort, and calories to do. Okay, with a trap like this, I can take this trap, I can find a rabbit hole, or a groundhog hole, or a squirrel's nest, anything like that. I can set this trap very quickly, very easily. It works just like that. Okay, you put this trap in front of the hole or on a trail that the animal you're targeting uses, and you just set it like that, and you stake it in the ground. And when your target animal comes along, okay, it's just that simple. Alright, yeah, it catches them by the head of the neck, it's an instant kill. Now, I'll be the first one to admit that a creature like a groundhog may not die instantly. It might just be caught. You set this trap within 50, 60 yards of where you're camped, or where you're fishing, or where you're foraging, you will hear it go off. Okay, I don't consider this any more brutal or any more unkind to the animal than a regular snare. Okay, you know, we don't ever want to waste animals we don't kill for no reason. But in a survival situation, you've got to eat. Okay, this is extremely useful. And like I said, weighs about 3 ounces. It's light as a feather, and it'll work. Okay.